Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We are in our third series in a row talking about PEDs. And the first one, of course, we wanted to touch on what the difference between maybe female enhancement would look like compared to males in the second. This time we're going to talk about everybody because we're going to dive into things like Clenbuterol, T3, insulin, growth hormone, all of those things that may not be just as categorically neatly put into the anabolic bucket. So Adam, Clenbuterol, it's the opposite of a beta blocker. So it's going to increase heart rate. It's going to potentially increase heart hypertrophy, leading to things like heart attacks and so forth because of just stress to the heart muscle. It's like a supercharged ephedra, if everybody remembers that from the 2000s and maybe even the 90s. But does it work? Can you take Clen and get leaner? And what are all the effects that people are after?
Yeah. So just like you said, with that, it's a beta agonist. You're going to get the increased heart rate. So therefore, you're going to burn more calories throughout the day. Clen is one of those compounds that I feel like even quasi-natural people tend to use it. It's probably one of the most popular drugs in bodybuilding. And I think that it's deemed the safest maybe, but I kind of disagree. And I don't really think it's all that effective because at the moment that you start getting progress with it, typically it usually starts messing with people's sleep quite a bit. So, in my younger experience, did I use it? Yes, with some of my clients, it was probably the first drug a client even asked about using with me. And doing some research, they were already doing an ECA stack. It seemed like an easy transition. But with more research, it's definitely hard on the heart at certain dosages. You see a lot of those dosages from other coaches, but I think that minimum effective dose is really key with Clen. But at the same time, you do have to keep in mind that these can damage your heart over time with a high enough dose as well.
So I'm glad you said that often you don't even see that great of results because the clients that I have worked with that have used it, I don't dramatically all of a sudden see, fat loss progress. But what happens is even on smaller doses, I don't know if it's measured in micrograms or milligrams, but you start with 20, then maybe 40, 60, 80, you can go all the way up to 100, 120, and that's probably when your heart's going to explode. But I've had people say, just taking it and then standing here, you can just feel your heart beating in your neck, your carotid arteries, and, you're turning red, you're sweating. And so I do realize that because of just your heart beating harder, that one little muscle in your chest, that's going to require more calories, but it's not like it's systemically creating that much of an effect. I mean, obviously there is some, but I don't know if it can really outdo what you're getting from NEAT and even exercise-induced thermogenesis. It's just, it does seem like the risk certainly outweighs the benefit, and you adapt to it very quickly. I mean, you're supposed to cycle through this in 2 to 3 week cycles because your body adjusts to it so very quickly.
Yeah, I've been underwhelmed with it for a long time and knew not to push the dose up past a certain amount. And that's why I've just always been like, I'm not really that big of a fan of it. But it is extremely popular. And you're correct. It is dosed usually in 20 milligram jumps, but they're microgram jumps, actually. So I should have said microgram, but they do measure in micro.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm curious because as you're mentioning, it's kind of like the shiny object. Everybody wants to try it. It seems pretty benign, and so people feel more comfortable doing it. Obviously, it's an oral, so you don't have to inject. That makes it more palatable for some people. But if you do have a client using it, do you ask them? Do you have a certain kind of protocol to wean themselves on and off or cycle?
Well, for me, it's more eliminating the cramping that can come with it too. And Clen depletes taurine levels in the body. So you do want to replace those taurine levels. And actually, if that's depleted, it's hard to convert T3 or T4 to T3. So when you're getting the benefit of the Clen, you kind of shut down another fat loss pathway essentially. And the cramping can be really bad. It can wake people up at night too. So that's the other negative thing that you're more so combating. But yeah, I'll ramp it up usually like every 2 weeks, bump the dose up to a certain point. I usually don't like going over 60 with women, and then you just stop after that. Or you can ramp down, but I usually just like to stop and get the beta receptor upregulated again or downregulated again after taking it with Benadryl, and then you start another cycle again.
You've got me thinking. I'm going to actually look up some research to see if there's anything clinically that does show true metabolic effectiveness with fat loss. I'm just not aware, but you guys watching, listening, thanks for being a part. We're going to dive into the next couple of episodes where we start getting into growth hormone, insulin, things like that. So we'll see you next time in Contest Prep University.